Listen up, sports fans. Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. We've also got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest new European slots, and our live dealers are waiting for you at the table. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action. BetUS, where the game begins.
And now, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, the Snake Sports Talk Show with Jake Silva starts now.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are live on a Wednesday night, and it's going to be a special one here for you on the Snake Sports Talk Show, wherever and however you may be watching and listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. Special guest tonight. The Nigerian Nightmare himself, Christian Okoye, stops by here onto the show. We're going to be talking about the surgence of running backs all throughout this year and also trade deadline talk all here tonight. It's going to be exciting. I am so ready for what is to come here tonight. We got a lot going on. Tomorrow night, we got the Broncos and Raiders. It's going to be a lot of fun. I do want to start off with this because we did have an awful lot of trades that happened during the trade deadline, but I want to discuss with one of them, and that was the Indianapolis Colts. They definitely went hands down on a trade that was risky, but it feels a lot like it's worth the risk. So they end up talking to the New York Jets, and they ended up finalizing a deal, and they're getting Sauce Gardner, the corner. Now, what this means for the Colts, this is probably a really good secondary that I haven't seen in a long time. And just before the game itself starting up in Berlin this weekend, it's going to be a lot of fun. And the Colts, they're in a situation where they feel like Daniel Jones is working as their quarterback. Jonathan Taylor is having an MVP-esque season. And the Colts are really feeling themselves. It's been quite a long time. So Sauce Gardner gives them at least an edge on the corner because, to be truthfully honest with you, since Robert Saleh got fired from the Jets, Sauce Gardner has not looked like the shutdown corner that we're usually used to seeing. So it's a new change of an area, and it's good. It's a change that's for the better. And I think the Colts really did nail this one. Now, it is risky because they ended up giving away 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner to help out their secondary. And it's a good thing for the Jets. But the Jets need to understand this is a business in which they are absolutely a circus show on. This is not something that you can honestly play around with. So I feel as though the Jets in this particular situation and scenario, you're getting picks. You're ultimately going to be rebuilding. I mean, you're giving away Quinnen Williams. You're giving away, you ended up getting back A.D. Mitchell in the middle of that trade. So they get a wide receiver. Now, who knows if A.D. Mitchell may pan out here in the near future with the Jets. Now, you do have Garrett Wilson still as your number one target, but now you're going to have to resurge this whole secondary because Michael Carter is gone. You already let DJ Reed walk, and then you let Sauce Gardner go to the Colts. And the Colts just got better on their secondary. And what the Colts are also telling you, they are walking in to an AFC with Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. You're trying to shut down all of those star quarterbacks. That's what it's like to play in the AFC. And which is why there hasn't been much of a corner type of shutdown as much in the AFC. And that's what you really have to play up with if you are a team like the Colts that can contend. So that, I think, was worth the risk. 2 first-round picks. The Jets ended up scoring big time, but I think it was all just mutual business at the end of the day. It's a change of scenery for Sauce Gardner. He looks happy. He feels happy, other than the fact you had Breece Hall, who ended up tweeting, and he ain't happy up over there in New York. So that's one thing that I could really be happy with the Colts for. I can't really feel a certain type of way with the Jets, only because there's just some things I often question. So, but that's just me personally. All right. So let's talk about Jerry Jones and them Dallas Cowboys. I know. Everybody is all kind of wondering what is up Jerry Jones' sleeve. And so now we are seeing the Cowboys addressing defense, heavily up and on defense. And one of the biggest things that I think what most people understand about the Cowboys are not a defensive shutdown team. They're not. The secondary's horrible. They're not getting to the quarterback as much without Micah Parsons. However, like, they did address the run stop because they had Kenny Clark and they got themselves an upgrade. So they ended up getting 2 defensive players, Logan Wilson from Cincinnati and Quinnen Williams from the Jets, all of which were a first round and a 7th round pick. Now, what does this mean for the Cowboys? The Cowboys know one of those assets that they traded away, which was a first round pick because they had 4 of them in 2 years. Remember, they can trade away one of those. And that's what benefited. They got their guy in Quinnen Williams. So you pair him up with Kenny Clark. You already lost DeMarcus Lawrence. You already lost Micah Parsons. You might as well end up upgrading and getting a youngster there in Quinnen Williams. So now you have him up and out of the front. So the Cowboys know they're looking at this roster on defense and saying, hey, we got to end up addressing to stop the run. We also got to get a tackler because DeMarvion Overshown, he's been injury prone. We need to help him out and kind of lift the load that he's been dealing with. Okay, so that was smart. Now, they know their secondary is not as great. You got Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland. You got a bunch of these other players up and into the secondary. They're going to need help. It doesn't matter. You're going to need the help either way. But that's where one of those first-round picks should be a corner or a safety. Okay, and then you can address the rest of it later on. But I think the offensive line, I think it's good. It's not great, but it's forming. And look, even with the embarrassing loss at home against the Arizona Cardinals, you knew this was all downhill from here. The Cardinals just shut them down and made it just easy. They have a very good defense. So I think with the Dallas Cowboys, it's going to come down to that. And even with them getting a run stopper in Quinnen Williams, he got his guy because Micah was not Jerry's guy. Quinnen Williams seems a lot like Jerry's guy. But that's where Jerry oftentimes goes and gets his guys. Whether they're just good soldiers or whether these are just going to be players down the stretch where they'll be pain in the butts. But you got to end up getting those players. You got to figure out how to be a shutdown defense. And that's what the Cowboys, that's initially with what they're telling you. I don't think the Cowboys, truthfully, would compete this year. I've been saying that from the start. I don't even think that that's relatively in the question or even in the conversation. But I think, to me personally, it seems like it's going to be interesting in Dallas. And whether the offseason gives them a little bit, that may be the case. But we know that Jerry Jones can often work within the draft. He's done it multiple times. And the Cowboys, remember, there's a certain word in sports that these high market organizations, the Cowboys, the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Yankees, all these high marketed teams, they do not like the word rebuild. They like more of retool, reboot, refuel. That's it. You tell a team like that, rebuild, they're losing their mind. It felt a lot like, the stock market just crashed and they're like, we're going to have to rebuild. You don't tell these wolves on Wall Street, we're going to rebuild and think everything's going to be fine. That's usually not what happens. Okay. That's never in their vocabulary. So I think with the Dallas Cowboys, they're rejuicing, they're refueling, and them going and getting Logan Wilson, a tackling linebacker, because they need to get somebody to get after whoever has the football in their hands. And then you got Quinnen Williams, who's got to stop the run. So I think it's a good collective pair. I really do. I think the collective pair really works out here in Dallas. And again, whether you think Jerry Jones is nuts or whether you think Jerry Jones is smart or whatever, this is the kind of business that a lot of these ownerships with high quality brands will often do. And so that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now with Dallas. I don't think they are necessarily looking like a competitive team, but the future looks bright in Dallas. It looks different. So again, it was only going to sting for the initial, year with Micah Parsons. But this is the kind of stuff that's where you figure it out afterward, giving it 3 years of this stuff. So that's where I'm at with that. All right, good stuff. Christian Okoye around the corner, folks. I really am excited about it. Lots of great stuff. I've heard some great things when it comes to, the foundation he has internationally and even here in the States. It's a great thing. And so I'm excited to hear more about it. Can't wait. I do believe, though, with the resurgence in running backs is, in fact, really interesting. So I do think there's going to be a lot to discuss on it. But yeah, Christian Okoye around the corner. I'm excited about it. Coming up next, we're going to be talking Dodgers World Series championship. I was really excited about, it was such an exciting series all the way through. I never got a chance to really end up reacting to it. I was really, really excited about how things really panned out up from there. But lots of that all coming up here next. And then also discussing a little bit more about the trade deadline because there were a bunch of moves that were happening up from there. All righty, folks. Well, because the trade deadline was crazy all throughout the whole entire last couple of days, but it's been an epic one. But with that being said, now there are reshapes up on rosters, which means that Payday Fantasy is just getting hotter and hotter by the minute when it comes to your go-to pick'em fantasy. And that is where now you can now find it on your mobile app through Google Play and the App Store. Lots to really look forward to. Lots of players to pick from every single day, every week. NBA season's underway. NHL season's underway. We're sad for Major League Baseball to be done, but doesn't mean around the corner. We might not be looking forward into it in the spring. So that's going to be around the corner. But also college hoops is also around us and college football. Lots to choose from at paydayfantasy.com, your go-to for your daily player pickups. Sign up now. Get a free $5 entry. They've got a great sale going on right now. And by the way, if you sign up today and put $100 into your deposit, folks, you would instantly get up to $200 in bonuses. How about that? Even with the $5 free entry that you get at Payday Fantasy, there's something to be excited about. And also, 100% deposit match guaranteed of up to $100 just by using this promo code SNAKE. Use promo code SNAKE at your sign up. Get yourself signed up, and you know the deal. You sign up, pick the player, pick the projection, sit back and watch, and also get paid in the middle of it with Payday Fantasy, your go-to for your player pick'em this season.
Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts that get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, Use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Christian McCoy ain't around the corner. Yeah, I honestly thought what was interesting about the trade deadline for most reasons, and there was just so many change-ups that had been happening all through, teams that are looking for needs. And it wasn't like there were an awful lot of big-time moves, but we'll get into more of that here in a moment. I wanted to take a moment and to congratulate the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. They're back-to-back World Series champions now. And lots of people, they're firing away, thinking the Dodgers, the baseball's rigged and all the rest of it. Listen, I got news for all of you. Okay, the Dodgers didn't get lucky with this. Okay, if you go back to when the postseason started, okay, this was initially where teams were supposed to. They were supposed to end up taking advantage of their bullpen, which has been shot. And I was really, it just really boggled my mind up from there. And it was crazy. So I just am like, the Dodgers really put me up in an awe. And I was like, wow. Wasn't sure how all of this just came around. And here's the other thing. The Blue Jays put on a great series. Okay. That was how it was. They put on a great series all through it. And one of the big things that I thought, which was incredible, is I just think the Dodgers from top to bottom, and it wasn't even about Shohei. It wasn't even about Clayton Kershaw. It was more about the guys in which they stepped up in the biggest moments, in the brightest moments. And those were guys like Max Muncy. By the way, you had Miguel Rojas, who hadn't even earned an all-star nod. It was those things. And what I thought, which was interesting, and it just told you exactly what changes have been made. And the Dodgers, they focused a lot on their starting pitching. That was their Achilles heel. So Yoshi Yamamoto, the Blake Snell, and Tyler Glasnow, they focused on all of them, and including Shohei Ohtani. And they still managed to make it a 7-game series. Because you're looking at the Blue Jays, who led the league in hits all season. And we all often thought that from the time on, okay, we thought that the Dodgers would have been exposed with their bullpen, and that was that. Because the Blue Jays, they did exactly that to a lot of these other teams. And that was the end of it. But the Dodgers, they overcame a ton of adversity. It's not like it was just luck. It wasn't that it was just like, it basically, was a lightning out of a bottle. Wasn't that kind of type. So I thought it was interesting. Now you've got the Dodgers back-to-back championships, and people are asking, is this a dynasty? I would think that it kind of feels like it, but the Dodgers, when they ended up paying for Shohei Ohtani, you knew what they were going to get into. They spend the money, and here's the other thing too, is a lot of these players, when you think about it, okay, a lot of these players from top to bottom on this whole roster, these were not guys that teams really were paying attention to. And that was the biggest brunt of it. And that's what really got teams thinking, crap, we should have gotten Miguel Rojas. We should have gotten Max Muncy. We should have gotten Teoscar Hernandez. And that's the stuff that often changes everything. And I wonder how exactly all of that just works. Because the Dodgers do better business than anybody in Major League Baseball. And by the way, baseball has definitely changed over the years. And this is the kind of thing that the NBA and Adam Silver, even with this whole gambling stuff, like they've had a problem with. Because it's just, for Major League Baseball, it's an international globe. And what's crazy about it is 16 to 17 million viewers watch the NBA Finals, while 25 to 26 million watched the World Series. Like that's insane. And I think what's happening is that the game's getting faster. You're watching a lot of stars play at a level and at a big level in which it works. So that's the stuff that really gets people thinking. So I often think, other teams, they're going to figure this out. I think the Mariners, they're a good team. And I don't think they're not necessarily going to be going away for quite a while. They not really are. I think I just truthfully think that most of this, you're going to see it for what it is and how it's all going to basically branch out and work out. So, yeah, I was really in shock. Even my wife, who's a Dodger fan, was also in shock. And so the Dodgers win it. They're champions. Good for baseball. And it's often is, and you know what? Here's the thing. If you're hating on the Dodgers, you're not really paying attention to what you should be. If your ownership is not paying out the money, they're not getting the talents. And that's that. And that's where the Dodgers, they really have the personnel. They got the scouting department. They got all of those guys all together. And so that's where I really think it works out perfectly up and into the end. All right, let's get into the news.
And now, here we go. Hey, everyone, it's story time. This is the Hot Press.
Right, so, yeah, I mean, the Dodgers, back-to-back World Series titles. I'm not mad at it. Do we consider this to be a dynasty? We don't know yet. It should be interesting how things are going to honestly pull itself off. So, yeah, really interesting. I'm actually going to be showing a little more of the chat conversation between Christian Okoye and myself. Was not really expecting it, but We'll be showing that here in a bit. So kind of give you some interview questions up from there, showcasing that. But let's get into some NFL news because we know the trade deadline was nuts. Didn't exactly think that was going to be as crazy as it was. So we're moving on to Arizona because a lot of things have been working up in Arizona when it comes to Kyler Murray in the quarterback position. So the Arizona Cardinals have officially placed quarterback Kyler Murray on the IR with a foot injury. So that means Jacoby Brissett will remain the starter for the Cardinals. And Jonathan Gannon, when asked about this, with Kyler going to the IR and what they've got to do now with Jacoby Brissett being their starter for future games. I really do hope that happens. We got a lot of ball to play, and one day at a time, and where he sits right now is he's got to pour into his health bucket and get ready to get healthy. Jacoby does his job. Takes it one day at a time, prepares when he wasn't the starter, prepares to be the starter. He knows his role can change, and now he's going to prepare the same exact way. So, listen, Jacoby Brissett, in the last few games, since, Kyler Murray had the injury, the team, their scoring has been completely different. It's been up and in there in the 20s. And they're starting to score more often. The defense themselves, after what they played like on Monday night against the Cowboys, it was insane. So I think with the Cardinals and in the last few games, as I look into it, it really is. It's actually kind of remarkable how this is. So the Cardinals right now, they're 3-5, but they seem a lot like a completely different team. Now, in these last few games, since Kyler Murray ended up being sat, they've scored 27, 23, 27, and 21. So they have been scoring points since Kyler Murray ended up sitting with the injury, which is insane. And that's where a lot of question marks are leading to. Is it the end for Kyler Murray in Arizona? And it could possibly look like it may be. All right, so the Jets were sellers up and into the trade deadline. And some news that ended up coming out is the Jets have demoted Quincy Williams, the linebacker, admitting defensive shakeups. So Quincy Williams, who was the brother of Quinnen Williams, after trading away Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, they have now demoted all-pro linebacker Quincy Williams. This was his response to the bench. My coaches told me I was underperforming, that I've been underperforming since training camp. So Williams, who was informed on Monday by the coaches, described himself as a non-starting Jet. He expects to be active Sunday against the Cleveland Browns, but he's not sure about his role. He has no clue. This just goes to show you just how big of a mess that the Jets really are. I can't even fathom anymore about what the Jets have been doing, how that this has honestly been kind of rolling and going about. It's weird. They just don't have their stuff figured out. And that's a serious problem when you're thinking about an organization that just traded away some of their stars, like they traded away Michael Carter to Philly. You got Quinnen Williams now going to the Cowboys, and then you end up trading away Sauce Gardner to the Colts. There is so much of this that I'm just kind of looking at the Jets and I'm going, wow. It's insane to me how all of this really is really how this has been looked upon. So I think that in all pure honesty, like the Jets know they're in rebuild mode. They know that they need to get quality players into this organization. The problem I have with it is that the Jets just don't know how to keep a lot of their core players. Neither can they keep a lot of their core players happy. And with the way things have been going with Aaron Glenn, it looks bad. So I just think with how this has been working, not sure. I'm not entirely sure. I think the Jets hopefully can figure this stuff out, but it's going to be a long journey ride all the way up and up from here. All right, I am excited for this up-and-coming interview. All right, that's going to do it here for us on the news.
And now, here we go. Hey everyone, it's story time. This is the Hot Press.
I've known him in old school football, because I certainly do. I loved watching all the old school highlights. Formerly with the Kansas City Chiefs, well known, and he's got a great foundation with him. Former pro, 6 years in the NFL, all with Kansas City. The Nigerian nightmare himself, Christian Okoye, stops by on the program. I got to tell you, though, Christian, just as a quick thing before we get into these questions is, I'm watching the resurgence of running backs. A few years ago, people were kind of questioning a lot about what do we do about the running back position? These guys got to get paid. They deserve their own. Well, now I'm starting to see Saquon and Derrick Henry and now Jonathan Taylor, who's putting up an MVP caliber season. And you've played this position. To me, it serves a very vast importance for an offense. What do you make of this resurgence with running backs? I think it's a beauty to watch, in my opinion.
I love it. The running back position needs to be featured in games today. And it was kind of sad when many teams did away with running game. But now, as like you said, it's coming back, and you can tell when you run the ball, you have a chance to win. So many teams are finding that out, and they're coming back to it. So I love it.
So obviously your story is very unique amongst a lot of other pros that have played in this game. And, coming from Nigeria and, playing from internationally and coming into the NFL, and you brought a humongous force, into this league. What inspired your journey from Nigeria to the NFL, and how did that transition shape you as a person?
Well, actually, originally I came to the U.S. to train and participate in 1984 Olympics. But that never happened because Nigeria just left me out, didn't take me to the Olympics. So my friends have been talking to me about trying football. And so I decided when I couldn't go to the Olympics that I'm going to try football. And this was my junior year in college. That's when I started playing. And I played 3 years, went to the Senior Bowl, and the Chiefs picked me up.
Wow. Yeah. And you know what? Thanks to Kansas City for giving you the opportunity and then leaving your markup from there, which leads me to my question is, because you've played many years with this organization, and I will say this, Kansas City has really revamped themselves as just an organization and just the city itself, because it's a proud organization. They've been waiting for their moment, and then in comes Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowls later. So playing in this organization, what was your most memorable moment during your tenure with the Chiefs? Because, I've watched so much highlights of you, and I'm like, man, this guy's an absolute brute force.
Well, I tell you what, if you play in Kansas City, you will remember the fans over there.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs kingdom is just alive. And they're the best fans in the world. When you come to Arrowhead Stadium, you will enjoy yourselves. They'll offer you food and beer, drinks, and they will welcome you. They are not nasty. They are nice to everybody, and they are loud during the game. They support their Chiefs. I tell you, since Patrick Mahomes came, everything came back. And I go to every home game, and I enjoy it. I love it. I love Kansas City. Great food, great fans, and I tell you, I'm the best owner.
Mm-hmm. I had a former Chief who was on the program a while back, Sean Smith, the deep lineman. He says exactly the similar things. And I'm a traveler myself, and I love coming to new places. I've never been, but I love the barbecuing, love the atmosphere and the culture. So I look forward to it. So I've watched, growing up as a kid, I watched a lot of fullbacks. You can name them all. I've watched yourself. I've watched Lorenzo Neal. I've watched many other fullbacks that have come in, made their impact. How do you feel fullbacks are honestly valued in today's game compared to when you play, because I mostly see the resurgence of running backs. But then I look at, the Chargers, they got a Swiss Army knife of a fullback who's playing D-line and all this stuff. How do you feel? Like, what has changed?
Well, I think the realization that running back it can be your defense. I mean, you know how they say defenses win championship. If you run the ball, you're gonna win. You remember when New England were winning all the Super Bowls? They were
Yep.
running the ball, and people didn't know that. People didn't know it because they had Brady. You know, so now the Chiefs are running around trying to get more support in the running back position, and they should, because they need support. They need Mahomes. They need to give him help. Mahomes is over there trying everything he can to win games. He needs somebody to run the ball and run it effectively. Pacheco is doing great, and Kareem Hunt is doing awesome. But we need another guy who can go over there and help him out.
I thought it was crazy that they literally came up just this close to getting Brees Hall from the Jets, because the Jets
Yes.
are already unloaded and they asked for a fourth, and then the Jets wanted a third. I was just
Yeah.
like, wow, to be that close. Again, when you're in the business realm, it's like you're basically talking numbers, negotiating, and trying to figure out where
Yeah.
you find a happy medium. And then all of a sudden that just happens, and it's like, man, only what could have been.
I'm telling you. I'm
yeah.
telling you. Third and fourth. I mean, what's the difference? Just
Right.
give it up.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to say, the NFL being as global as it is, we're watching games in London, mostly Munich in Germany, Brazil. We started the year with the Chiefs and Chargers. I thought it was fun. And we're starting to get more and more global here, Christian. Do you think we'll actually see more players? Because I have seen a lot of players from your home country that have come in and they're making a vast impact. I love it mostly because, I'm a baseball fan at heart. And when I watch a lot of these international players, like what we're seeing with Shohei Ohtani, back-to-back World Series championships, he's making a mark and an impact. And so
Yeah.
when you think about that with players that come in internationally into football, we had the Euro League years ago where a lot of players from Europe, they were playing in it. How do you think, more players, are they eventually going to start stockpiling more and more? The more this game starts to get televised and more gets showcased on fields in international territories. Do you think we'll see more of an overload of that?
Well, it's taken longer in Europe, but you see a lot of Africans in the NFL. If you look at NFL teams right now, every team has one or two or even more African playing, especially Nigerians. You know, but I think it's going to take more longer for Europeans to join. A few of them are playing, but not as well as Africans are playing in the NFL now. Um, I've been a long time ago, about 20 years ago, I tried to get NFL to go and play preseason game, preseason game in Nigeria, because a lot of Nigerians were playing in the NFL and more are playing today. But they didn't think there's any money in that. But very soon there's going to be a game in Africa, I think. Whether it produces more money, but we have more fans in Africa than Europe as far as NFL football is concerned. So I'm hoping they do that.
It's interesting because I always look forward to the World Cup every year. And I'm just kind of looking, when Nigeria is playing and all the African countries they're representing, they're playing in the World Cup. And I'm like,
Yeah.
could you imagine if we just have one NFL game that could be played up any stadium that would obviously the turf maintenances, all of that. Like if you could just get the game there, just watch how many of the fans in that country that they watch it, they love it, and how that can be very inspiring to young players. So this leads me to my question here, because of just your background, that you came in and you left your mark. If you could give an advice to a young player trying to make it from an international background, because we know there's many challenges up from there, what would you basically say to them?
I would say hard work is everything, and to make as many contacts as you can. I have a lot of Nigerians contacting me via social media, telling me they can play football. But it's very easy to say that you can play football if you're not prepared. You have to be able to practice and kind of interact with the other guys who are playing football and get in it. If you're not used to it, it will be extremely hard. I got lucky. When I got into football, it was extremely difficult for me. I decided to work extremely hard so I can make it. And a lot of people gave me support for it. But I was here in America. So if you're outside of America, it will be a little tougher. You got to be here to do it.
Yeah. And at the same time, you're putting in the work. You're making the most of it in this journey. That's what's really impactful. And I got to say, Christian, I appreciate you for coming by and just look, I've interviewed many former pros and I've listened to many stories, but yours is a one of a kind that I was just like, the minute we connected and just got it here, I was just so thrilled. So you obviously have worked so hard with your charitable work at the Christian Okoye Foundation. Tell us more about that on the mission, and for our audiences, how we can help to contribute to the foundation and where we need to go to then support and give back, because I'm all about that and love stories like this.
Well, first of all, the website, if you go to okoyefoundation.org or christianokoye.com, you can contribute there and you can learn about the Christian Okoye Foundation. But we've been going on since 1990 and we do a lot of work. We started out in California and Kansas City. We spread out to Hawaii and Nevada and even Arizona. But now we're concentrating in Kansas City and Nigeria. I dove into that because somebody helped me out of Nigeria. Somebody saw me and saw something in me and gave me support. So I'm trying to pay it forward, trying to help those kids who are very hungry to make it. Teaching them about education, of course, not only sports, because if you have sports and no education, you're never going to, jump forward in life. So education is extremely important. So I try to, do that for them. And of course, in Kansas City in December, we take a bunch of kids shopping for Christmas because there are many kids in the system that don't even have Christmas. So this year we're going to take over 300 kids shopping, and I invite a lot of players to come in and lead them around. So stay busy helping kids and doing the things that we're supposed to do.
Oh, I absolutely love that. What a blessing that is. I mean, honestly, my wife and I, we have our own, we're firm believers, and we have our own church place that now every year in the Christmas, like the holidays, we have the Samaritan's Purse, to where we end up packing up a lot of the things and that for kids, boys and girls, very good essentials, and for something to give them, because we never wanted a kid to be left without a gift. I think it's an absolute blessing what you guys do. I'm definitely praying it's a great turnout for you guys. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. What a way to spread holiday cheer all throughout the holiday season. Christian, appreciate you for coming on by, my friend. Thank you so much for taking the time. We hope to see you soon. And listen, the Chiefs right now are 5-4. Any words of encouragement you got to say all till we get through the season?
They don't need it, man. We'll be there. We'll be there. I guarantee you.
There you go. There you go. All righty, my friend. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the Thanksgiving and enjoy the holidays ahead. And we hope to see you soon.
All right. Thank you, my man. God bless you.
Absolutely. God bless you. Look at that, guys. Christian Okoye. Wow. That is a milestone in itself, like on this show. I am shocked. I really am. I've enjoyed every bit of that whole entire interview. I really loved it. And it really is interesting because you never think that you would tap in like just the international pool. I remember watching the EuroLeague. I remember watching, they slowly got into the international pool with the NFL, because here's the thing. All of the major sports in general, Major League Baseball, the NBA now has become more global. I would say NHL is also global. I mean, we had the Four Nations tournament. It was a hit. And when you think about the NFL, and even Chase, who's not here tonight, but we talked about this months, on this program, talking about getting a team up in London. My only biggest thing is that a lot of it is the travel time, the time in which, you think about daylight savings, which just happened for this month. There's a lot of that goes into, there's a lot that goes into it. And I just think it's just, I think it's honestly just such a blessing for kids like this, and even for young men, to having the opportunity, working hard, leaving your mark, and then finding a way to start your journey up from there. I think it's incredible, and I love this. I love foundations that give back to the community, and at the same time, they help with the next generation ahead. My wife and I were firm believers, and we are big on helping. We are also big on supporting, and we're also big on just being that brother and sister type mentality where you put your arms around them. You're trying to guide them. You're trying to help them find that structure. And then at the same time, for Thanksgiving, it's funny to me. We just we actually put up our Christmas tree. And the biggest thing is because we're expecting our little one 27 weeks in, previewed by February 3rd. And my big thing is we put the tree up, and, we got, and it's glowing lights, ornaments. It's the cutest thing. And we have it up early because we're not bypassing Thanksgiving. We're mostly just getting stuff up and ahead because let me tell you something. When you got pregnant women that are dealing with what they deal with on this level, as men, you got to be able to support. You really have to show full support. And, for Thanksgiving, it's a best time of year because you're there with your family. And even if you're not there with your family, but you're sharing a plate, you're sharing a table, you're sharing a chair, you're opening up. And that's why, the background I came from with my family, we've always been open arms. We've always loved, bringing a lot of people together because that's what it's all about, especially throughout the holiday season. So again, Thanksgiving, be thankful, and think of people, because that's what they really truthfully need. Spare a plate. Open up a chair, bring people in, share the memories with each other. That's always what we love about Thanksgiving, and we love that for the holiday season. And then leading up to Christmas, where kids don't go without a gift. And it could be any gift, honestly. And it's what makes a kid's day. So I love that. Man, Christian Okoye. That was, we just nailed it on the head with that one. Absolutely loved it. Gonna take a moment. But when we come back, we're going to be talking a lot more about the trade deadline here up in just a moment. So don't go anywhere on the Snake Sports Talk Show.
Looking for a show with the best takes and opinions? Want a show with the best coverage around the world of sports? Jam-packed with an all-star interview lineup? Then the best place to find it all, sports and entertainment, is right here. Join Jake Silva on the Snake Sports Talk Show, presented by SeatGeek and BetUS. Weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Sports Wave Network.
Want to find your seat for the event of your choice but can't get one that fits your desire or your budget? Well, my friends, SeatGeek has you covered. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Snake Sports Talk Show. With a list of over hundreds of events to choose from, SeatGeek will assure you that you won't miss your seat with the amazing view of your choice at the most affordable price. Whether it's looking for your best seat in the house of your favorite sports team, finding live concerts that get you closer to your favorite artist, or enjoying your spot at your favorite live shows, comedies, and more, SeatGeek has it all just for you. Go online to SeatGeek.com or download the app on your mobile device through Google Play and the App Store. And as a special offer before checkout, use promo code SNAKESPORTS and save yourself $20 off of your purchase of your first ticket, and experience why SeatGeek is the most trusted ticketing app for your next event. Remember, that's SeatGeek.com, and download the app on your phone with promo code SNAKESPORTS for $20 off and find your seat with SeatGeek.
If you didn't get a chance to see the interview with Christian Okoye, no worries at all, because we will have that video uploaded here for you guys soon. Absolutely loved it. Just an all-around great personality. So the trade deadline really did give us something, though. The Bills did not make a move for a wide receiver, which many people were harping big time. You got to go get a receiver, man. And they didn't make a move. The Chiefs, as we talked about, they needed to get a running back. Right now, like, they're injury decimated, and there's not a whole lot going for them. You're trying to support Patrick Mahomes. They're 5-4, and again, they overcome a lot of adversities themselves. They didn't get it. They were that close. It was a fourth rounder away from getting Breece Hall. And the Jets just do certain businesses a certain way. I'm not big on it, but again, I think if those moves had been made, that would have been crazy. So to kind of recap and seeing a lot of these trades. So everybody up on social media, and especially for a lot of the big social media pages, they have already ranked up a lot of these trades. So let's go ahead and recap, and just to kind of get people's understandings on some of these trades. So to understand it a little bit more, the Sauce Gardner one was a big time risky move for the Colts, and the Colts knew what they were getting into. So, I think one of the biggest things is that you look at how the shaping of the NFL is right now, and how a lot of these teams, how they're basically going to be looking at for quite some time. So looking at these moves that were made all throughout the season, and that's not even just the trade deadline themselves. So, again, I think Chris Olave, I think honestly, New Orleans kind of didn't really do much of a service. I mean, they got rid of their big play receiver in Rashid Shaheed, who I think Seattle is really getting themselves a very good playmaker. So looking at these impactful trades all throughout the season. So again, Sauce Gardner was a big time risk. This is probably the best time I have ever seen the Colts secondary look like this. It's been a long time. I watched them with Antoine Bethea. I watched them with Bob Sanders. It really is an interesting secondary. Now, you look at how much they gave up for it. Now, that is hefty. However, it's worth it because you saw how Jonathan Taylor is playing this year. They feel like Daniel Jones is the quarterback that doesn't want to get them in the similar position that hasn't worked for them since Andrew Luck retired. They don't want to be into that position. So that's where the Colts made that move. Quinnen Williams to Dallas, along with Logan Wilson from Cincinnati. These are impactful moves because you get a big-time run stopper. You get a tackling linebacker who kind of pulls off a lot of that weight off of DeMarvion Overshown, gives him time to heal up, recover, and that's where you get someone like Logan Wilson. And he's a heck of a tackler. I like it. Joe Flacco, of course, when he goes from the Browns to the Bengals, again, defensively, Shamar Stewart's been on a slow start on defense, and Trey Hendrickson didn't get traded. So that means, and again, I think Cincinnati, like I've been saying this before and I'll say it again, if you didn't do a service to Trey Hendrickson and at least get picks, good luck. Now you missed out on that. You missed out on the opportunities of getting picks. Now, Joe Flacco, they're hoping that it gives them a fighting chance before Joe Burrow comes back, but I don't even know if it's going to be really enough. I mean, Joe Flacco's basically playing up into a level where you got all these receivers and all the rest of that. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work out. Tremont Jones, I mean, they got the Baltimore Ravens got rid of Odafe Owe. That the minute he stepped foot with the Chargers, in 4 games he's played, he's already got 4 sacks. And now they go and get Tremont Jones. And I think this is a very good upgrade. They get a pass rusher. They get somebody that's up and in there that can be impactful for that long run. Then Kyle Duggar to Pittsburgh. To me, Pittsburgh, they pay the most up on defense. And it's not really like, they're thinking about offense as much. So Kyle Duggar, he's filling in a position in which the secondary's banged up. So he's pretty much filling it up for that. Jacoby Myers to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is an interesting move because Jacoby Myers, I think he's got 1 year left because he's playing on this year, and I think he has 1 year left up on his contract deal. Now, they get another receiver because Travis Hunter, is hurt. They still have BTJ. That whole trade nonsense was ridiculous. It's a different look at what Liam Cohen is trying to put together. Now, do I think Jacoby Myers is more of a 1? Not necessarily on a lot of teams. He's more of a 2. But he's creative, can get open. He's got good hands. And unlike BTJ, who's a big play receiver, you can really extend a little bit more of plays for Jacoby Myers. Jair Alexander, Jalen Phillips, and Michael Carter for Philadelphia. Philadelphia is just loading up with defense. Okay, that's just what they do. They're physical. They're trying to get a linebacker that can get after the quarterback and be a Mike linebacker, put him up a little bit more on the edge. So they are able to get somebody like Jalen Phillips. Now, remember, he was injury prone multiple times in Miami. And I thought Miami would have gotten rid of Bradley Chubb. That wasn't the case. So that didn't end up working out on itself. And then with Jair Alexander, it helps with their corner spot. That was what was initially their problem. Because the minute that Quinyon Mitchell and, you watch Adoree Jackson and Jacorian Bennett, it ain't working out for them. They were struggling up at corner too. So they get Jair Alexander and Michael Carter. They got some corners up from there. So I think Howie Roseman, again, he's getting away with a lot of these deals. So, and then finally you get Rashid Shaheed, who I really, really am interested how this is going to pan out for the Seattle Seahawks. Because in my opinion, I look at this and I think Rashid Shaheed with Sam Darnold the season he's having and big play receiver, that comes in handy. You may not think it does, but it comes in handy. And so Rashid Shaheed going to Seattle is going to be impactful. I wished I would have had my top 10 done faster, but you'll have to see it at least, come tomorrow. But we got a fun show tomorrow. Michael Turner is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking Falcons, Chargers, running backs, even with Jonathan Taylor that's going up and on a tear. But I just think the trade deadline, it's a classic for everybody. You would think with all these rumors, okay, it's not like baseball. It's not like the NBA. And it certainly is in the NHL because here's the difference. In the NHL, they go and trade for an impactful player and then they go and sign him immediately at an 8-year contract. Okay, that's what they do. NBA, they pick up draft picks because they're more of assets. It's not like the NFL where you get draft picks and that's initially your day one starter. You have to be very critical when you're trading away for first round, second round, all those picks. Because complimentary ones will be, that's a man's best friend. Complimentary picks are usually always good for teams. Major League Baseball, you already know, you're drafting a player, you're not seeing him at least until like 4 years down the road when he goes through the minors. I mean, that's just what it is. But again, you go and trade draft picks, you trade players, and you go and get an impactful player. Now, most of those you would often see in the free agent market during the winter meetings. And sometimes you would often see that in the trade deadline where you might get a big namer. And this year it wasn't a whole lot of them, but they were impactful players. So anything can happen. The NFL is just different that way. You go and trade for players. You're not just trading for just positions of needs. You're thinking about their futures because depending on it, whether you go into the draft and you got a position you're thinking about the future for, is this player honestly going to be the future? The Colts did this because once they got Sauce Gardner, they feel like Daniel Jones is the quarterback. Jonathan Taylor's having a hell of a year, and we got the guys. And they got rid of A.D. Mitchell. You know, if you didn't fumble the ball before crossing the line, you wouldn't have been a trade. You wouldn't have been a trade piece. But unfortunately, that happened. And that can happen for players. But they got a corner. They're hoping he will be there for the future. And that's the way it works. And then you look at, a bunch of other teams, like even the Cowboys. Cowboys ended up getting so many picks and assets from Micah Parsons, and then they go and trade one of the 4 for Quinnen Williams. I mean, they get a run stopper for the future. Who knows how Logan Wilson will end up looking like? Maybe he might be down for, an extension or so. But initially, they need to fix their secondary. That's what this whole conversation is all about. They're hoping that the Cowboys defense will be much better suited than this. and that's the way that I really describe this. So, yeah, interesting. But that's the NFL. And by the way, even for some of these other smaller trades, like Trevor Penning to the Chargers needed offensive line help. You're dealing with Kansas City, Denver, and the Raiders twice a year. You're dealing with Kansas City winning this division almost every year. Denver and Sean Payton, they ended up getting better. They didn't even make a move. And so you're taking advantage of an opportunity that's right there up and in front of you. And they only got their former first-round pick for a six-round pick. Isn't that crazy? So they kind of look at it as no sweat on our backs. That's what New Orleans was thinking about with Trevor Penning. Now, again, Penning may have had some issues up from there, but a change of scenery, a different style coaching, different style breakdowns, maybe that ends up giving him a fighting chance on the outside tackles. And so who knows? Because with both Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater out for the season, not a good sign for the Chargers. But that's why they had to go and get someone like Trevor Penning. And let's see what happens up from there. But, yeah, I think it's interesting. I still don't understand Quincy Williams being benched. I mean, even with terrible play, you're dealing with a coach who's a coordinator. And that's why Aaron Glenn, these things are just, they're falling apart. I don't think they're honestly going to keep Aaron Glenn, truthfully. I think you ride out the rest of the season. You've already traded away so many of these assets, and you're going into potentially under the off season next year. Who knows how many teams are going to end up inquiring about that? So that's my whole big argument up from there. All righty, folks, what a show we had tonight. Christian Okoye stopped on by. Absolutely love the interview from there. Check out his foundation, ChristianOkoye.com, and the OkoyeFoundation.org as well for your way to contribute and give back into the foundation. December 6th, by the way, in Kansas City, wherever you may be, players are going to be all gathered up, bringing 300 kids in, and we're going to go Christmas shopping. So if you're in the Kansas City area, kids, whomever may be watching the show, definitely check it out. It's a fun time. Fun time indeed. You get to see a lot of the great Kansas City Chiefs players, get a chance to shop around, talk ball, and then enjoy the gift as well, guys, as it's the seasons of giving for this month and also in the month of December as well as we approach up on Christmas time. With all of us here on the Snake Sports Talk Show, have a great night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night on the next edition of the Snake Sports Talk Show. Michael Turner stops by. You don't want to end up missing that, guys. Take care, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.